We are starting with another chapter, Newton's law of motion. The first thing what we are going to see here is force. This is a definition which you have been doing since class 6th or maybe 5th also. We know that force is a push or pull which tends to change the shape, size and direction of a body. This is how force is defined. Another thing, we know that there are two types of forces, the contact forces and non-contact forces. What are the contact forces? Forces which come into play when the bodies are in physical contact, right? For example, you can say friction. Whenever one body is moving over another body, a friction is developed in between the surface of the two bodies. This is known as your contact forces, forces which come into play when the bodies are in contact. Non-contact forces, forces which come into play when the bodies are not in physical contact, like gravitational force or magnetic force. Even when the bodies are not in contact with each other, then also these forces, they act on each other. Now, a very important topic in the chapter of forces, inertia. Let us see what inertia means and what inertia is. Inertia is an inherent property of a body by which a body in rest continues to be at rest, or a body in motion continues to be in motion until and unless some external force is applied. This property of a body is known as inertia, right? That is the property by virtue of which, this is the property, inherent property of a body to continue its position of rest or motion until and unless some external forces applied. Now again, there are two types of inertia. Inertia of rest and inertia of motion. That is, here also, when a body is at rest, it continues to be at rest until its external force is applied. This is particularly known as inertia of rest, and a body in motion continues to be in motion until an external force is applied. This is particularly known as inertia of motion. Now we have different examples for this. For example, when a bus or train starts suddenly, you must have experienced, we are talking about inertia of rest. When a bus or train suddenly start, or let us take for car, what happens is when it suddenly starts, your body is jerked back. Okay. What is happening is that when you sit in a car, right, and naturally your legs are touching the surface of the car, your lower portion is in direct touch, in physical contact with the car. So when the car starts moving, initially you are sitting in the car and the car is at rest and you are at rest. But when the car starts moving, you are sitting in it, what happens is your lower portion, which is in direct contact, seat pe aap baithe hain, your leg are on the surface, that portion comes into motion immediately as compared to your upper part of the body. And so as the lower part comes into motion, your body is pushed back. After a certain time, you are balanced. Same if we talk about inertia of motion, for example, when a car is moving and suddenly brakes are applied, what happens is you are jerked forward. The same thing happens once the car starts moving. Once the entire body comes into motion, but as soon as the brakes are applied, again the car comes to a standstill and your lower portion, which is in directly contact with the car, it stops immediately, but your upper portion is still in motion and so you are jerked. Niche ka hissa ekdam ruk gaya and the upper portion you are getting a jerk. This is because of the inertia of motion, and there are many examples as such, and we have done these examples previously also, that is in junior classes. So I would like you to go through these examples, because these examples they make reasoning questions. And if there's any example you're not able to understand, please do ask. I'm not going to discuss the examples here because we have been doing these examples from very beginning. So the basic is the definition of inertia and inertia of rest and inertia of motion.